Okay, so today I want to talk about Scorpio rising and people born with Scorpio rising. So basically, if you haven't read your birth chart, just go to astrotheme.com or Astro or Google free birth chart calculator and make sure you have the time that you were born, because this is not about people. This is not about Scorpio sun people. This is about Scorpio rising people. And the rising sign rules your face and your eyes and your physical appearance. And what I've noticed about Scorpio rising people is that they almost always have, like 99% of the time, they have like symmetrical, really arched eyebrows and a really strong eye contact. It's like when you find out that your friend or your brother or somebody in your life has a Scorpio rising, it's kind of like you're like, oh, that makes sense, I could see that, because Scorpio is a fixed sign, so when you have it on the rising sign, the physical features tend to be prominent, especially the eyes. And even with Scorpio sun sign people and rising, eye contact is like a huge thing for you guys. And for me, I have like a Pisces rising. Eye contact doesn't really bother me. It makes me more uncomfortable than anything else. I don't really need it. But like a Scorpio, you want to make a lot of eye contact with people. And this is because Scorpio has a nature where you intuitively understand cause and effect, and so you do what's most difficult first. Unless you've got like a ton of Libra or Taurus, then you might be a little bit more lazy, but it's difficult to have a Scorpio rising and be unsuccessful or be lazy. Your nature is to be a very self-controlled person, and because of this, you work really hard to maintain control over every aspect of your life, including relationships. I think that you guys are aware that your controllingness is going to be an issue for whatever partner you end up with. Like, I had a friend who had a Scorpio rise, and she was like, yeah, I'm like really controlling, and like I know that's going to be an issue in relationships, because like obviously traditionally the guy is like the one that's like dominating everything, but if your partner is a Scorpio rising, they're going to have some form of power and control, because Scorpio rising people, you can go on power trips, you can become power hungry, and you're very emotional, but you don't show it. Scorpio is a water sign. It's the 8th sign of the zodiac. It rules sex, which is why you probably have an interest in sex either early on or you study sex. It doesn't necessarily mean that you sleep with a bunch of people, because from the Scorpio rising people that I've known, they're not promiscuous. Like, you do seek out partners, but it's not like obsessive. Like a Mars and Scorpio person tends to have a lot of sex from what I've seen, especially if they're a guy. But a Scorpio rising person doesn't necessarily have tons of sex, although you are not afraid to have sex before marriage. I don't think. It depends on the whole chart, but most of the time it's like you see through the bullshit of like everything and everyone. And I don't know, you guys have an interest in psychology as well, but you don't really need to study psychology. You can kind of get a vibe off people and you can read people really easily. Psychology is just like something you're naturally good at. That's why a lot of you guys will major in psychology, is what I've noticed. Like, there's tons of Scorpio rising psychologists out there, and I don't find that to be a coincidence, because even Scorpio sun signs love studying psychology. It's because you're a natural born psychologist. You enjoy bringing emotions out of people and getting to the root of things. And so maybe when you were like younger and growing up, you liked to uncover what people were hiding. Maybe even like physically like dig up things from the ground. Like, you guys want to find the roots of things, and you have a very good capability of knowing people's weaknesses. And this is why Scorpio is so powerful. Scorpio is like, when it comes to power, I think Leo and Scorpio are like so powerful. And it's not to say that people can't be powerful. Anybody can be super powerful, but Scorpio wants to be powerful, and you know how to be, and you are powerful. And I just find it so fascinating. Scorpio is actually like the most popular sign when it comes to astrology videos, and that doesn't surprise me. Scorpio is complex and fascinating, and it's the fixed water sign. It pulls on people's emotions. People are drawn to this magnetic energy that Scorpio rising people have. And Yeah, so in a nutshell, you're self-controlled, you're intense, you make people feel very strongly about you when you walk into a room or when you're around them, and you're very quiet. I've noticed that when I'm talking to Scorpio rising people, you're so freaking quiet sometimes. Like, we'll be having a conversation and I'm answering the questions that you're asking and you're really quiet, and I'm like, why are you so quiet? You're scaring me. And you guys kind of scare people, and it's because there's this nature of Scorpio that wants to expose what's hidden and what's true. And so it's, if you have something to hide from Scorpio rising people, then you do have a lot to be afraid of, because it's almost as if you're drawn straight to what somebody's hiding. Like, you're drawn to what's hidden. And so Scorpio has like a lower nature, which is the scorpion and the snake. A lot of people think it's just the scorpion, but the snake actually represents Scorpio as well. And it can represent healing capabilities, which you guys do have. But a lot of you guys in your younger years tend to be like the scorpion, the jealous, possessive, playing dirty, whatever. And a lot of people say, well, Scorpios, they're all about truth and depth and this and that. No, not necessarily, because you can go to the dark side so easily that it's like you'd rather be dark and powerful than be like positive and transformative and healing, because sometimes your desire for control and power is so strong that you can't even, like, you won't let yourself just be this beam of light that you can be. Just because Scorpio is a negative sign and it's feminine and it's known for being dark and evil doesn't mean that you can't be positive, because you can. And what I love most about Scorpio rising people is when I do share things emotionally with them, they have an incredible ability to make me feel better, because I don't think Scorpio rising people are afraid of a lot of people or of a lot of things. I read this thing once about Scorpio rising people that you're rarely shocked about anything, because you've kind of seen a lot and you're drawn to what's difficult and what's scary, which is what makes you so successful. Is like, you do what's most difficult first. You're not afraid of attention, but you don't necessarily seek attention. You get a lot of attention put on you. And people think that because Scorpio rising wants to be low key, and you are low key, but you're not afraid of attention either, because you like challenges. You won't back down from a challenge. But yeah, I guess sex is like a huge theme for Scorpio rising people. Again, doesn't mean you're having tons of sex, but you're always wondering about sexuality and wanting to learn more about it. And Scorpio rising people, you are intense. And I know that's what everybody says, but probably the most intense rising sign. Definitely the most intense. So I'm upset.